What up, YouTube? Here with a post-fight video for Oleksandr Usyk versus Anthony Joshua 2. And before I give y'all the summary of what took place in the fight, I'm going to tell y'all the results first. Usyk was able to retain his WBA, IBF, WBO heavyweight titles via split decision. I personally had the fight score 115 and 113 in favor of Usyk. Now, the official decision was a split, not a unanimous. But I don't see how one of the judges could have had a score for Anthony Joshua. Now, if there's a non-biased, non-hardcore Anthony Joshua fan out there, if y'all could tell me why y'all thought Joshua should have won the fight, I'd love to hear your opinions on that. But to sum up the fight, if y'all haven't seen the second fight for yourselves already, the decision being a split instead of a unanimous, that should tell y'all already that this fight was a lot more closer and competitive when compared to the first fight. Like I said, I only added a round up for Usyk, so it was a close competitive fight. Joshua did definitely fight a smarter fight this time around than the first fight. He didn't, waste as many punches. He was more careful as far as when he would throw his shots. He definitely distributed his energy much better in the second fight than the first fight. He didn't gas out. He saved his stamina. And yeah, he would mix up his punches very well in this fight, going upstairs and downstairs. And he had more moments in the second fight than the first fight. I'll say the ninth round was his best round. He had Usyk in trouble with body shots, and he definitely moved better in the second fight than the first fight. But like I said, I still had this fight score for Usyk. Usyk stayed more busy and more active throughout the whole fight, landed the more cleaner, effective shots throughout the whole fight, and he was able to counter Joshua well throughout the whole fight. Anytime Joshua would try and force Usyk back, Usyk maneuvered better in the ring throughout the whole fight than him. And anytime Joshua would throw his punches, Usyk would counter him, landing and sneaking his punches in between when Joshua would try and throw his shots. And when Usyk would connect, he would slickly move out the way, creating a distance between him and Joshua for him to avoid Joshua's power shots. And he was just faster on his feet and with his hands, and it showed throughout the whole fight. And now Usyk, I have him at number 1 on my pound for pound rankings. He holds majority of the titles in the heavyweight division. Now, mind y'all, he already was undisputed at cruiserweight, and after he won the tournament and became undisputed at cruiserweight, he moved up to heavyweight, won the majority heavyweight titles by defeating Anthony Joshua in his backyard. Only in his third heavyweight fight, he became majority heavyweight champion, and now in his first defense of that WBA, WBO, IBF heavyweight titles, he successfully defends it in a hard-fought win over Anthony Joshua. And his resume speaks for itself. And I think the only fight that makes sense for Oleksandr Usyk is to try and become undisputed heavyweight champion. If y'all already tapped in with the sport of boxing, y'all know Tyson Fury, who announced his retirement after defeating Dillian White in his comeback fight in England. He announced his retirement following that win, but then as of late, he denounced his retirement, announcing that he would come back to compete in boxing. He currently holds a WBC and lineal Ring Magazine heavyweight title, and I think that's the next fight for Oleksandr Usyk, and also for Tyson Fury as well. I don't see any other opponents that they could fight. I think the two only champions in heavyweight should face each other for their next bout, as they have already beat all the top contenders in the heavyweight division. Now they could, try and maneuver around, fighting each other next. But eventually, I would say the undisputed heavyweight title showdown, with all these undisputed title fights going down in the sport of boxing nowadays, I think, this is definitely the biggest matchup that could be made in heavyweight boxing. And this definitely is one of the most marquee matchups that boxing can make right now. I say Oleksandr Usyk versus Tyson Fury is up there with Terrence Crawford versus Errol Spence, and I think that's the two most marquee matchups that the sport of boxing can make happen right now. And as far as Anthony Joshua goes, he's still, one of the top contenders and one of the biggest household names in heavyweight boxing. He, no matter who he fights, he's still gonna draw. In England, he could probably have a huge fight versus somebody like Derek Chisora. If Derek Chisora still decides to compete in boxing, that would be a huge fight over there in England. Or he could, as y'all know, well, they fight for two different promotions. Andy Ruiz and Luis Ortiz, they got a fight coming up early next month. But they're with the PBC brand, and so is Deontay Wilder and Robert Helenius. They got a fight coming up in October, but that's on the PBC side. But if not, then he could fight somebody like Joe Joyce, David Price. Who else is there? Derek Chisora. Who else could he fight? He could fight the Croatian fighter who had a close competitive fight versus Zhang on the undercard to Usyk and Joshua too. I can't pronounce his name, and I don't want to, try and pronounce his name and get it wrong. It's like Flippo. I can't pronounce his name, but y'all know what I'm talking about. The undefeated Croatian heavyweight, who fought on the undercard. Him versus Zhang was a very close fight. A lot of people thought Zhang won the fight. There were two undefeated fighters, but the Flippo, whatever his name is, he came out on top in that fight, so he could fight him. I'm talking about Anthony Joshua for his next fight, but I don't know what Joshua's got in plan in the future, because after the fight, usually it'll be the winner getting interviewed first, but Joshua snatched the mic up out of the journalist's hand and cut a WWE-esque promo following the fight with him and Usyk, and he didn't get all disrespectful or anything like that when he got on the mic. He bigged up Usyk, shouted him out, and called him champ, giving him his respect. But he let his frustrations to the crowd and to all the fans watching. He let his frustrations be known. He called out the criticizers. Everybody. If you're doing your job, and in this case, Joshua is a boxer, and for all the fans and all the critics, who's been criticizing Joshua and his game, Joshua, let his voice be heard. He let the people know he's sick and tired of all the people saying oh, he's not as great as all the great heavyweights in the past, he's overrated, blah blah blah, all the criticism that comes with the game having the notoriety that Joshua holds. And Joshua voiced his opinion, and he fired back at the critics. Y'all could go check out the clip for yourselves. Joshua, he's not in the wrong for that. A lot of people thought that it wasn't sportsmanlike, and he should be stronger than that, and ignore all the hate and not let that phase him. But everybody has I would say, I don't know what to call it, but everybody has those moments where it's like, yo, like I heard enough, like I got some shit to say back, and I could fire right back at all these people, that got these comments. And I thought it was a pretty cool moment. And but how he behaved, if y'all see before you grab the mic, to certain people he was being disrespectful towards, to what a lot of people may consider as signs of disrespect. He showed that towards certain people, and I seen a footage where Joshua would be walking back to the backstage area. Some fan told him, "Hey, way to keep it professional out there." And Joshua, I guess, misheard the dude saying, "Hey, good job on keeping it professional when you got on the mic." Joshua thought that he was trying to tell Joshua to be respectful, and Joshua was, talking shit to those people who was trying to, tell them how to be and what to be. And, he thought it was one of them criticisms again. And, he got all, fired up and, fired back at the dude that was, bigging him up, actually, instead of, saying, and he did the whole opposite of what Joshua thought that, he was, saying. Joshua was like, "Hey, what you say? Who the f you talking to?" And all that hot stuff. And yeah, Joshua definitely wasn't pleased with what everybody was saying leading up to the fight. But like I said, Joshua showed signs of improvements for sure in the ring in this fight compared to the past. I think Robert Garcia is a good coach to have by his side. He had a good training camp. Usyk is just a better technical boxer than him, and it showed in the. And I think Joshua, is only gonna get better as he continues fighting. I don't know what his future plans are, but like I said, he's still one of the biggest draws in the sport of boxing, regardless of the fact that he's no longer champion. But yeah, y'all let me know what y'all want to see in the future for both Oleksandr Usyk and Anthony Joshua. If y'all got a video reviewing this fight and y'all want me to check it out, I'll be more than glad to. Anyways, that does it for this post-fight video. Comment, subscribe, share, like, all that good stuff. And I'm out of here, y'all. Peace.